Good evening, everybody, and welcome to E Squared Empowerment with Elysia, connecting, inspiring, and changing the world. Tonight, I have the great pleasure of connecting with my friend Aletha Williams, and hopefully, we'll have a few other stragglers for the roundtable as we come to the close of our interview series for Black History Month and celebrating our wins and just general victories. So if anybody wants to pop on who sees the Zoom from before, a person of color that wants to join in the conversation and celebrate your wins, please do join us on the call this evening. We're really excited to get to hold this space. So Aletha, thank you so much for being on the show. Again, it is such a privilege to get to have you back.
Same here, Elysia. Thank you. It's so great to see you and to be a part of the circle that of things that you're doing. You're really helping a lot of people, and I hope you know that and feel that because we appreciate you.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Now, Aletha, you had quite the meandering journey. If anyone hasn't seen Aletha's previous interview, I highly recommend it. Aletha is a decorated naval officer. She was one of the first women to enter into, on naval ships into war zones when women were actually allowed on naval ships, which is incredible. She went through being in the Navy. She had cervical cancer while she was having her last son, and she continued to perform as a naval officer. And she does Reiki. She works with horses doing equine assisted learning. And I believe you're trying to write your thesis in regards to Navy SEALs. Is that correct? Am I remembering?
Equine psychotherapy help for PTSD combat veterans.
Fantastic. Such incredibly important work. So thank you. You do so many things, and and you make soap, which is all, and you do these amazing paintings. I see you put your paintings up here all the time, and I'm just like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So
incredible. The painting is my way of playing with sand. The kids' version of playing in the sand. For me, that's painting. So to get me to completely forget the world and be a child, and I just paint.
No, that's beautiful. I really miss painting. I used to paint doing acrylic on canvas, and it was so fun to get to do abstract work. And yeah.
I'm gonna have to remember that.
Someday we'll get to paint together.
Zoom paint night.
Zoom painting. Or, another one of our former speakers is joining us.
Yay!
Yay! Mr. Anthony Strayhorn coming to us from
profile.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Coming to us from Atlanta, Georgia. He does all sorts of amazing things with coaching and health and mindset and just so many great things. Anthony, go ahead and take yourself off mute. We're really happy you were able to join us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. So tonight we are just talking about celebrating our wins, our victories, different things that you have overcome in the past or in the present. And just the trials and tribulations of the journey that make us the people that we are today. And you can ask questions to each other. This is very much like a free-for-all conversation.
Oh,
if you see me covering my mouth, I'm yelling at my son to turn the oven off.
Anthony is a new parent. He has a beautiful little girl. She is just so precious as pie. I just love her.
Thank you. Yeah, she's 14 and a half months. So growing every day, budding and budding.
Congratulations. That's a beautiful stage to have.
Thank you. And that segues into, something I've overcome. And that has been this whole idea of what it is to be spontaneous, what it is to be organized, organized energetically. Because my sense of organized self got turned upside down being a parent. I knew it would. I just, obviously I don't know how, and experientially, I just knew intellectually it'll be different. And there was a lot of things to just reframe in my mind about okay, can't getting up and just leaving, or just not thinking about wow, I need to get back to relieve my wife so she can have some time. That stuff is now it's important. So overcoming this new way, or this new sense of self, or just embracing it. I would say it's more like an embracing. more like embracing this new sense of self, this new sense of life that is beyond just yourself. Like it involves another person. So another level of consideration, another level of intentional responsibility. All that has been something to, embrace and, just allow myself to come into a new experience. So
I applaud you, Anthony. That's pretty good to recognize that and to recognize the need for you to shift.
for sure. Thank you.
That's really beautiful. And we have our dear friend, Freddy Jackson of the Love No Ego Foundation coming to us from Charlottesville, Virginia. He is also a father. So how are you doing, Freddie?
Hey guys, I'm great. Sorry for the late intro, but you know how the day can get away from you sometimes.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm always good. I'm always for the most part, 99.9% of the time, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm doing the good work. So what else do you need,
Yeah, you definitely have a fantastic mindset, and it's beautiful how much work that you do with the kids in this community and really making a positive impact on so many levels. And yeah, with Anthony is like, so Anthony, I'm not sure how much you caught, Freddie, but he is a new dad. He has a beautiful 14-month-old little girl. And
Me?
so no, Anthony does.
Oh, okay.
You're like, I do? Did I miss something? Shit.
Like what? When did this happen?
Who have you been talking to?
Was I a part of this? Okay, congratulations, Anthony.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I imagine it's just like the rite of passage of parenthood. Right. So if each one of you would like to share something about that experience of that rite of passage and some of your thoughts initially and what your victories were of like overcoming those initial potential obstacles when you ran up against something, you're like, wow, I had no idea. And what are we doing? So.
I think one of the things is me embracing more community support. I think that's a thing, like allowing the village to help raise the child, not just the nuclear family, like the first immediate family support system, because I think that's something that it's like a game changer. I understand now why a lot of other cultures stick closer together in terms of where they live in proximity to each other. When I lived in Europe, I noticed that a lot of the Italian families, they didn't move far from each other until they were married. Even when they got married and had children, they didn't live so far away. They didn't live probably more than 5 miles away. So they could still be close to each other and support each other. And so you see that in a lot of other cultures where in America, everybody wants to move so far away and get way out of the house. Get out of the house now. Go on your own. Go far away. I think that's shifting though. I think that cultural shift is happening in America. So I would say the biggest thing is embracing community support outside of just your blood family, so to speak, because that helps so much. We need it. Like you can't do it all by yourself. You won't do it sustainably by yourself.
Yeah.
Burned out.
I really appreciate that point. And I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that old traditional mindset for men specifically, like needing to be the providers. Right. And feeling that like that might just need to be a singular thing instead of getting to embrace like the community, because there was like the original like tribe aspect of humanity long ago, and then us shifting more into cities and more individual aspect like nuclear families.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when we were hunters and gatherers, everybody shared everything. When one woman was pregnant, the baby, the other women that were not pregnant would help with that baby. And so that was the installation of support around children when they came about.
Yeah, so beautiful.
Yeah, I grew up in Jamaica, so that part of the culture where everybody, the village is your parent, not just one person, uncle, aunt. Everybody's an aunt and uncle because they're older than you. Was important. But I want to share a really good point that you just made, Anthony. When I was in the military and I had my 2 young kids, and the war was going on. My husband had to go off, and I was a single parent being active duty. I don't believe I could have succeeded being as effective of a parent dealing with kids who have separation anxiety had I not have the support of the village, the community. And part of that, though, I had to be humble enough to ask. So a lot of people feel ashamed that they have to go out and ask, but in the culture that I grew up on, asking was the best way of gifting people yourself without material, gifting yourself to somebody else in that form of help. So I really echo that part. And for me, just to, like I said, piggyback on that is just to be humble and to know when you need help. When you need help, ask for it.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I think there's something about the idea of reaching out being a gesture of strength as well, because I think sometimes we have, and I know I have this as the male programming has come to surface at times, like not asking shows that you're strong, that you can do it, you're independent, and that you don't need to worry, you don't need to reach out and ask for that support. And I'm glad that I'm reframing that, and having a child definitely gave me the opportunity to reframe that, because there are many times you're like, hey, do you mind just coming? And actually people already that had children, and they were like, we already know, like, like they already were like, no, you're gonna take a break. You're gonna have at least 4 hours away from the house. We'll come and just watch her. We'll be fine. She'll be fine, and it'll work out. So they already know. And I was just like, that's so great. That's just like the universe, like sharing and manifesting that abundance that's already there in the form of support from other people. And that's the human resources. That's why we need to be. That's why we need each other.
Yeah.
We literally need each other so that we can survive long term. We can't live out here by ourselves. We're not designed that way.
No, that's beautiful. Freddie, what about you? And I'd love to hear your perspective.
I am a stepdad, and me and my wife, we lost one early, but you know how people say it's a full-time job? It's actually not a full-time job. It's like 3 full-time jobs, because a full-time job is like 8 hours. So you got to multiply that times 3, 24 hours. And just as Anthony was saying, it's about being human. And it's such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful process. It's such a healing process. It's such a learning process. It's like, when you go into it with that and you have some practices around you, like in your individualism, like practices like in your own life that can help bring you clarity and space and freedom. And, the love always works. It always works. And when you have those, I think, even when you have no idea what you're doing, what's going on, it's still okay. It's still okay. And as Anthony said, that male, expectation, traditional norms can kind of creep up in you and make you feel, guilty or less than or whatever it might be. But when you lean towards the sides of love and just know that you're doing what you know how to do, you're doing your best. And the tribe and the people around you, as you guys were saying, like, it took a whole tribe to raise me, for sure. So I can just imagine, and working with the youth today, I can just imagine like what it takes today. Like I can just imagine. So, love and blessings and positive vibes to all who take that role of just parenting, of just educators, of just committed to being their best selves for their kids, their youth, and the greater good, because it definitely serves the greater good. But I could talk all day about it, because love does what it does, and we just have to do our best to remain on that frequency, and all our answers, they'll come. And then our kids know that because we teach it to them. We teach what we are, whether you want to teach it or not. You're teaching it. You're teaching it. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all of that. And for anybody who would like to learn more about Freddie's perspective, he does have a book, Love No Ego, which I was very excited because I was at Wegmans, which is one of our local grocery stores, and I actually got to see Freddie's book on the shelf. And I was like, yes, Freddie. So great. It made me so happy. Like, what a victory. And Freddie has actually, he presented with this men's group here before, and it's just, it's fun. And I get to see his van periodically. Like, I'm driving through town and he's got this van. It's got one of the most colorful things I've ever seen on the road. And it's just like love, no ego, like everywhere with white, red, and black. And it makes me smile every single time that I see it.
That's the idea, just to spread it and help myself as well as others. Just have moments of smiling, and that kind of adds up. And the next thing you know, it's been a year, it's been 2 years, and you've been smiling.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I think it's interesting too. I would love for you to speak a little bit on what your experience has been as a stepdad versus mentor, because you do so much mentorship for the youth today.
Yeah. Being a stepdad it's like a bonus dad, and you find your way of, because you never know where other people are coming from that's involved in that relationship. Biological dad's over here, whatever. And you kind of find your way of I for me personally, like, I've become super humble and humbling with it, because it's because of this person, this kid, that I have this bridge. He's the bridge to step his biological dad in me. Like, we're talking, like, we're having conversations about his well-being, and we're just kind of hanging out on his farm. And for me, it's just kind of been super awakening to the fact that, we're human.
Yeah.
We're just human. And this person, that person has had the gift of this child coming through them. It's like just creation. Like, it's like the universe, the cosmos doing what it do all by itself, and I just kind of just respect that and just love it. And so it makes me kind of humble to pay attention and listen and see what I can learn. And while at the same time, I know I'm just going to try to be who I am. And I know that kid, that person is watching. I've been in my stepson's life now since he was 12 and he's 22. Yeah. And we just celebrated his birthday, 2022. And he was 22.
Whoa. That like give me shivers, dude.
I'm not done. On a Tuesday.
Amazing. Was it the best day of all time?
Yeah. So just, I don't know, it's just a great thing. And I think if we can, and to answer your question though, I feel like, all the kids that we have in our program, especially the ones that are on my caseload, because I serve as a mentor as well. I don't know, I just love them, and I just want them to really I just want to be a part of their journey and help them live the best life that they could. And I know I'm a witness to love, no ego. Like, I came up with this concept and idea because I went through some things, and I saw how love was the greatest energy ever. And the damn ego is the one thing that can destroy that, So I just wanted to share that, and I just allow love to use me and go, see what happens.
Freddie, you said something really good. Everything you said is good, but a point that I want to pull out of that goodness was the fact that you talked about communication and how important the communication is. And that's also a great bridge for anyone, but communication in what way? Body language? Is it vocal? Is it through music? Is it through art? So learning how to get to someone space of safety, and safety is one of the number one thing that comes across for me with kids is do they feel safe around me? And
Mhm.
how can I communicate that to them? And if I'm not, then what can I do to shift myself to make them feel safe?
Mhm. Yeah.
It's great.
Anthony, do you have any questions for Freddie, since he is on the back end of the journey and you're at the beginning? Or for Aletha?
No, I mean, I've been in a mentoring capacity before in college, and even after college in different organizations, Boys and Girls Club, also through my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So I've done a lot of, and so when you're talking about them, it's like, yeah, that takes a lot of energy to be in that space, and it takes a lot of courage and just like resilience. So I would like to acknowledge you for being in that space, because it's not easy. And that's truly, like, that's a space where if you really are doubting that it takes a village, well, come into that world and see if you can do that all by yourself. Nah, you need several villages to raise one kid. Because the world is that impactful on one of them.
It is.
You know, and there's more layers now that we're dealing with. Social media in itself is a layer that's like this thick. It's like, it's wild. So it's a whole nother like psychological paradigm of how we are approaching in our communication to the youth, to all the people in our communities, and just the way we engage with them. So
yeah, absolutely. They kind of come out the womb connected to Wi-Fi these days.
Yeah.
Hey, they come out and they look at you and you're like, what's the passcode?
Yeah. Right. Like already device savvy. They just already know how to like do stuff on a tablet or a phone. Like,
yeah. Well, you know what's cool though? We have like contracts with schools, and we go in and we do like this Love No Ego curriculum. I was doing a presentation last Friday, and I told this story. I'm sharing it because you guys might be able to pull something from it and give me some feedback on it and all that good stuff. But I shared this story about they are middle schoolers. So I'm like, you were in the womb and you were like asleep. You were just growing. You were quiet, like you had a heartbeat before you even had this big old brain that you have now. You had this heartbeat and you're listening to mom. You're listening to whatever. Like you're so in tune, And then the moment you come out, what happens? And they started thinking. I was like, what happens? Like, really think about it. It's like the doctor slaps you. I'm like, yeah, he slaps you. And then there's fluorescence lights. And then there's machines. And there's noise. And I said, has it stopped since then? And they're like, no. So I say, so what's reality? Like, what's your truth? Like, what is it? Is it this or is it that? And it kind of goes into that whole love no ego message about the egotistical influences and stuff. But I think that's just something great that's been successful for me and having an impact on them. Like right in the moment, they're like, whoa, that is true. Like we had a heartbeat before we had a brain. I'm like, yeah. So just a cool story I wanted to share, but yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's interesting. We always had a heart before a brain. There's something interesting to that,
Yeah, because your heart is just it's just there. It's just joyous. Yep. It's just there, But then this thing here kind of takes over, starts chattering. It never stops, dude. Like never stops. You sleep, it's still going, And if you allow it, it could take over. I always say, this is the boss, this is the employee. Employee has to take orders from the boss. At minimum, this thing right here should work for you. At minimum, it shouldn't work for everybody else in this system. So just some taglines and key phrases I use. And even for myself, I found myself in that situation. Like, damn, like, what am I doing? It's crazy. I need to just sit back, chill, hammock, go hammock, step out of water, and then it becomes all clear.
And he does. One time I went to a local park and I walked by him and he was just like kicking it with one of his guys, like in a hammock, legit, like between two trees. And I was like, "Sup, Freddie?" we were both like, we're taking time away from like our busy lives and we're gonna go be in nature.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. But you know, it's interesting. I love what you're saying, Freddie, about how we had a heart before we had a brain. And I think about it's like we feel before we think.
Oh yeah. That's
always
it right there.
We feel before we think, and it's in being able to have that emotional mastery over our brain so that we can come back to our heart and we can come back to a space of neutral curiosity and we can come back to a space of love and just like resonance and alignment and figuring out what we need to be able to increase the bandwidth so that we can come back to that space. Because
so important.
Yeah. And so true power comes from within, right? It comes from
it really does.
Mind and the heart and connecting the two together.
Yeah.
Because if we're always running on feeling without thinking, you oftentimes will get yourself in trouble. And if you're only running on the analytical portion of your brain and you're not connected to your heart, you're also going to get yourself into trouble. It has to be both.
Yes. Yeah. You know, it's stress, you know, we break down the word stress and how it causes first dis-ease and then disease, you know, like the same word really. And one form or another of stress kind of just, it's just not good for us. It's not, you know, and as Anthony said, that's not how we were made to be, you know? It's just not. And when you kind of get in that truth and you start living it and you have a good practice, like it really becomes like just miraculous. Like every 15 minutes, like a miracle shows up. Like it just does. It's just because it's just confirmations of you and your truth and the decisions that you're making. And miracles are not this random occurrence, like twice a year, you know, like, oh my God, you know? It's like, dude, I could tell you so many miracles I had today. It's like, oh, like it's great. So thank you, Elysia, for just having a space for us to even talk about this and come to that realization and be reminded again, you know?
You're very welcome. It's my honor to get to have such incredible people in like my circle and to have the space for us to just have these conversations in the public, and whatever, I truly feel like whatever people are meant to hear is what comes up in conversation for us here on the call and or the people also out there in the world. So Anthony, Freddie, I can't remember if you're a dancer, but the other three, do you dance? You love dancing, Freddie?
Listen, I go in my kitchen or wherever I am and I find my two hottest jams and I would dance for about 8 to 10 minutes. Like I set that as a New Year's like resolution. That was a goal of mine.
That's so awesome. I love that because all the rest of us here are also dancers. And so so like in very different ways. And one time Aletha and I in my women's group, Phoenix Rising women's group, she wanted to live stream and we legit danced for, God, what was it, like 10 minutes straight, just live streaming into the group. It was hilarious. Oh my goodness gracious. It was so funny. But like Anthony does ecstatic dance. And what I was going to say is that like, my question for you, Anthony, is do you feel more connected to people in humanity when you are in the zone of ecstatic dance or when you are in conversation?
Yeah, that's an easy one. When I'm in dance, because you're out of this space. You're in this space because this is where, I mean, you're in your heart space because a lot of the chatter just kind of dissipates for a while. And the dance space I'm in primarily is actually house music. But the ecstatic dance is where I'm more commonly, just because it's an outdoor event and it's like connect out in the woods and the grass and the sun. But the house music scene is my roots. That's my roots. And it's a similar vibe. Like most people that know house music that've been around it know, like it's spiritual music. I mean, there's people who literally fall out crying on the dance floor. It's because it's such a heart release of whatever they've been carrying, whatever heaviness, whatever thing they just need to get off, and this comes out. So yes, you definitely can. And the crazy thing about static dance, Elysia, is that the one I go to is that you don't talk while you're dancing. So you have to connect, with someone's energy, like visually, or just like how you move with them. And so that in itself just speaks to what you're asking me. And yes to that, for sure. And actually, speaking of that, I actually went to an event this Saturday morning called Daybreaker. And, yeah, it's actually it's a group that started in New York, and the whole premise of the event is that you do yoga in the beginning, and then it progresses into a dance experience for 2 hours.
Nice.
It's led by MC, and there's there's a DJ and a band at the same time, and that's what was there at this one that I went to. It's a group that travels, and at the very end, they were passing around these cards. It says, "Dance unlocks my," and it has a line for you to put something on it. Mm-hmm. On the back of this card, it says, there's a quote by this guy named Hans Boe. It says, "While I dance, I cannot judge, I cannot hate, I cannot separate myself from life. I can only be joyful and whole. This is why I dance." Mm. And so
that's beautiful.
It uplifts and it connects, and it transcends a lot of the stress and the worldly things that can get caught up in our mind space. So
absolutely, yeah, God, absolutely. I have these clear memories from when I was in my 20s, when I was homeless, and I was working, and I would sometimes literally skip meals so that I would have money to get into the club that night to dance. And I would change in my car. Nobody ever knew, at that time, that I was homeless, because I walked with pride and still, presented myself or whatever. But I remember I would walk down the streets of Seattle, and as soon as I got within range to hear the music streaming out of the club, everything from the world just faded away.
Yeah.
It just faded away. And then being in that space in partnership, doing Latin dancing, like salsa especially, it took me to a whole nother level. And there was no one else. There was just me and the person in front of me, and the connection of being able to surrender, and that beautiful balance of masculine and feminine energy. And I can also lead as a dancer for other people. So I can play on both sides of that, but to be able to just give yourself to that in flow is it is my place of peace, and my space of creative practice and creative expression. And so I just dance is one of my greatest passions in life. It's dance, helping people, and horses, all pretty equal. And yeah, dancing.
Elysia, I think one of the things that's showing up in the common theme about this is the fact that when we choose something that's creative, we are becoming ever so present. And when we become ever so present, then we feel the presence of the divine that's around us, instead of being in our mind so much and thinking about all the things that we have to physically try to be responsible for. It brings me back to a quote that I've been studying the book Psycho-Cybernetics. I don't know if you guys have heard of this book. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. And it talks about when we live in a world of stress, stress is always going to be there, but the way you think about stress is really important. When you release your responsibility of trying to fix the issues, and just let go and just focus on what you want, and just let the universe bring to you what you need, then that's where you need to be. But continue to be ever so present in what you want. And what you want to be happy, you want to be relaxed, you want to be stress-free, but you can't. So doing stuff like movement is really important. So it brings me back to the fact that every 30 minutes I set an alarm while I'm sitting here doing my report. I get up, I go outside, and I try to do these tricks of the trade to become present. Being present is so important.
Yeah.
So important. Yes.
Yeah.
Presence is a present.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a gift. And especially because so few people allow themselves to be in that space of presence.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking before we came on, and we were talking about my personal issues of I have a lot of stress, and I can put it all in a box. But what I'm doing is realizing that, yeah, that's stress, but I'm not gonna try to sit there and manipulate everything. I'm just gonna sit in the storm and become ever more peripheral and observant as to what's showing up to help me through it. And so she was saying something, and she's like, I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. But if I wasn't being calm and using my breath to continue making sure that my heart is in a parasympathetic instead of sympathetic state, I probably wouldn't have heard her. I probably would have said, I don't need to hear. But one of the important things is I've been through so much stress in my life, being, like Elysia was saying, being a female, the first female on ships, not even saying that I had an accent, not even saying that I was Black, and all the other stress that came around all that. I did that for 20 years and had cancer and trying to be an officer. And so stress seems to be my best friend. And I think, Elysia, help me if you can tell me, I think it's Terry McDonald says it best. It's the way you look at stress. If you can use stress as your friend and actually put love around it, the right stress hormones will come out of your body. So, we talk about the 4 different types of stress. And the one she's talking about is that oxytocin. And I'm like, oh, I love, now when I'm stressed, I'm like, oh, what can I do to make the oxytocin stress come out? Because that's how I look at it now. Oh, I look forward to how I'm going to get through this stress, because more people are going to show up and more things are going to show up to be there to make it work.
Yeah, and I hope I'm remembering this correctly, but once I was on a call with Joel Brown and of Addicted to Success, and he had said something along the lines of the body doesn't know the difference between the energy of anxiety and excitement without the frame that you put around it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, and I talk to people a lot with my coaching in regards to we assign value to our emotional experience. And so like the emotions can be neutral, they can be varying intensities, but like what they're telling us, we can find a space of neutrality and channel the energy into something that's functional. Like that's what emotional mastery is about. It's being able to experience the full breadth of human emotion without negatively assigning value to it. Yeah. And just basically, I like to think about it as a stranger, a happy stranger, but someone that comes to your door on like a winter's night. And instead of you slamming it in their face because you're just like, I don't know about all that, you invite them in and you give them tea and soup and a soft place to sleep. And you listen to their stories and you allow them to rest. And then in the morning, they get to leave refreshed, rejuvenated, and able to more functionally go upon their journey. And after they've left, you're able to sit there and reflect upon what it is that they were meant to teach you.
So true.
Nice.
Yep. Love it. Lesson in the blessing.
Yeah.
Blessing in the lessons, I guess. Should really
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's great. I need to run. I got to get home to the little one. I'm still in my gym.
Thank you so much. Anthony, is there anything else, like where can people find you if they'd like to connect with you for any of your coaching or? Yeah,
I'm on Facebook and Instagram primarily. You can find me Anthony Strayhorn. My handle is strayfit.lifestyle. So I do life coaching, personal development coaching, and I offer personal training for people who are in the vicinity of Atlanta or in the city here. That's my background. And I got into personal development back in 2018 and been doing that pretty heavily actually. And that has really taken off since the pandemic. Divine timing.
Yeah,
So,
congratulations. Nice to meet you,
Great.
Anthony.
Great to meet you, Anthony.
too.
You sound like me a little bit. Personal trainer,
Yeah, man.
you know, and personal development, psychology, helping develop our people. Yeah, I screenshotted your email, so I'm going to reach
Okay.
out to both of you guys just to connect and see what happens. You know.
We love that.
Oh, that's fantastic. And anybody, if you would like to watch the interview that Anthony and I previously did, you can find it on YouTube under Global Resources for Men for Anthony and Elysia.
Cool.
Thanks, man. We'll catch up soon. Thanks again so much for popping on and sharing your life experience and wisdom. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Nice meeting you all. Nice meeting you, Aletha, Freddie.
Same here.
Take care.
Be safe.
And then there were three.
Let's see how well Freddie can dance. Someone kidding.
I need to move some furniture. I need to move some furniture out the way. I need space.
Breaking it down. Well, today, tonight is so much about getting to celebrate our wins, like general victories. Aletha, Freddie, is there anything that has been really fantastic that you would like to celebrate and just share with the public? Or just we'll start there.
I'll go, Freddie, if you don't mind. I am 10 weeks into recovering from my second hip replacement. So my biggest win right now is the fact that I'm pain-free from my knees up to my upper body. Before, I was in so much pain for over 6-7 years. And so this is a big win for me. And the reason why I'm recovering so well, and a lot of people are still having pain and issues, is because I use hypnosis and positive psychology to really go in and prepare myself before surgery. And when I was recovering, I was using positive psychology and meditation to really reduce my pain level. And then I was foraging. And so I was doing all these things to really make sure that my recovery was quick. So my biggest win is the fact that I am doing so well. I'm able to walk about a mile now.
Awesome.
So I'm on the road back to recovery after about 10 years spill of having this arthritis taking over my body. So I'm really happy where I'm at.
That's beautiful. Really well done, Aletha.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. What about you, Freddie?
First, Aletha, that is awesome. That is great. Health is wealth, it's just wellness, and it is like human. It is like your nature to be in tune, in alignment, pain-free, like physically, spiritually, mentally. And I reached back while you were talking because you made me think of a book. Have you heard of this guy here, Freddie Jackson?
I own that book.
No.
At least, like I have a certification in corrective methods.
Uh-huh.
It's about alignment and correcting the body, you know. And if you get this book here, it's called Pain Free by Freddie Jackson.
Okay.
It's a really good book.
Yeah, long story short. And before I say this, long story short, this book breaks it down. It breaks it down by body parts. And you probably know this, about 90% of our pain and misalignment starts at our hips.
Mm-hmm.
One might be elevated, externally rotated, whatever. And it just causes misalignment up and down the body. But so if you can kind of address those hips and these specific body parts, each chapter is a body part, which is great. So, and it has pictures, it has everything, and they're very easy, static exercises. Like you're laying on the floor, legs up the wall type of deal. With a block between your feet and your ankles. So you got that alignment, you got that vertical, boom, So great.
Let me screenshot that. Let me see if I can do this. Hold on. I need my glasses.
And if it's too much, I can
Yeah, you can always, we'll be in touch.
Yeah, I could email it to you. I could email it to you as soon as we get off, you know.
Oh, that sounds good. Thank you. One of the things that I wanted to address about the hips is the receiving center for all emotions of
Yes.
and releasing. And so my hips went because I was receiving and releasing so much, but my stressful state of environment really put me in disease, and I've lost a lot. And the arthritis came because of the chronic stress. And I'm in school now studying this, and boy, if I had gone to school about this years ago, maybe I wouldn't have had the need to do two replacements.
Aletha's getting her PhD right now.
That's
Just
awesome.
so we're clear, like what the kind of school is that you're doing, because it's pretty awesome.
She's my best champion there.
That's great, you know, because you're just truly empowering yourself, and you know, you're just kind of setting a foundation within you that's just not easily shaken, you know, stress and this and things of the world, you know. What was it? Oh, to answer your question, Elysia, things that are going on. You know, a lot of great things. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Celebrate.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm excited about the park that we're building in Buckingham County. We're building our first Love No Ego park. And it's just going to be like just so like paradise when you walk in there. It's like natural, organic. It's going to have community gardens.
Nice.
Hammock park inside the park.
Oh, wow.
We're going to have like library books, like stations, those community library boxes everywhere. We're going to have like an outdoor bar where the kids can kind of bring the vegetables that they planted over to the bar, cut it, and learn about plant-based living and human being and all that.
So awesome.
And I'll send you guys a link to all that. You can really look at the details of it, but I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Our Love No Ego curriculum is picking up more and more in schools. I talked to a lady from YMCA today about bringing this 8-week curriculum to their program. And so, you know, love is doing what it does. And I have no problem with that. Like, it's, you know, like love does what it does. I just try my best to kind of remain on that frequency and just be human, you know. And another thing you guys said, you made me think about, it was something that you said, Aletha, about alleviating or recognizing your stress and how you kind of process it or say it, you know. And like for me, for example, I had to do, I'm kind of an extremist type of person. Like I really go at it. And I think I've found my balance of just energy and effort with just kind of being too, you know, not so much doing and getting caught up in the to-do list. I found a great balance with that. And just to give you some examples of some changes, like actual changes I made, like I haven't watched TV in probably about 6 years. You know, we took the TV out. We weren't watching it. We were just kind of growing in a different direction, and we realized we had this 40-inch TV sitting on the wall. And at that time, stepson was like 16, 17. He graduated. He's about to move out. He's excited. It's like, we don't really need this thing. So it's just that one thing. Not saying that you have to do it, but there's always layers. You said layers of the world that's on us that we don't really recognize because they've influenced us since we came out of the womb, you know?
Yeah.
And just that one thing alone. And I was at my parents' house a couple of days ago in Buckingham, and they had the TV on, they keep it on. And me and my wife, we look at these commercials that come on, we'll be like, what?
Seriously, right? I hardly ever watch TV either. I like watch TV for the Super Bowl, and it's like my benchmark of how insane the world has gotten, because I'm just like, I literally, my dad, we were watching the Super Bowl. I'm like, Dad, we don't get it. I don't understand.
It's real. I can really see how some of our youth and young adults are like can get influenced to believe certain truth, like you see, like, how many naked women, half naked women you see on products, and the product could be this coffee mug.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know that they're selling a coffee mug to the last 2 seconds of the commercial. It's like you see a woman in, some type of sexual energy to grab your attention, and they're talking about coffee mugs. I was like, oh, my goodness, like, this is crazy. So just for kind of just reiterating to the fact about removing layers, so you can kind of see that truth and remove some of that dis-ease. And those practices, they help, they work.
There's a underpinning anchor, and Elysia hit on it really well when she was talking about the time when she was homeless. You hit on it really well, Elysia, when you said you knew who you were. And even though you were homeless, you presented yourself, dressed in your car, and then you went out and you just continued to being yourself. A lot of our youths these days, they have no idea who they are, and to even have an anchor as to what they're doing in their own bodies. And if we can get an individual, as coaches as we are, if we get an individual to recognize what their values are and what their spirit represents, that is the start of where everything starts to heal. And so despite the contrast, I think I forgot who says this all the time, the vortex lady, being in the vortex, she always says, despite the contrast, and she uses, instead of saying stress, she uses another word. She says, despite the contrast, we will be okay if we just focus on exactly who we are and where we want to go, because everything else will start moving, and the law of reflection will start coming and bringing things to us to take care of us. Who was it that says that? I'm gonna have to find out.
No, that's cool. Like this concept of contrast versus stress.
Yeah.
Because if like it is a contrast, right? Because of how you want to live your life in alignment and in ease versus stress, which is like dis-ease. Like if we are not at ease in our lives if we are experiencing stress. And stress typically comes from misalignment, right? And there's something that, like, oftentimes we've done something without gradient, or we haven't done the best job communicating, or we're not holding our boundaries. Something has crossed over, creating confusion, or like a break in affinity, or like a break in like reality. Like, what are you doing? I don't understand. And that creates stress, because then there's this gap, right? And that gap is contrast.
Yeah. And even with the pain-free book about the hips, your energy centers, are you, where are you centered? What are you given too much of? How safe do you feel? Because that energy center number 1 says, where's my foundation? Where's my safety? And energy center 2 talks about what am I passionate about? Am I living that passion? So even in our own bodies, structuring ourselves to really know where we are in reference to ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the thing with contrast, like in my brain, contrast versus stress, you don't always necessarily know why you're stressed out, because it can be just like this accumulation of things, right? But to me, as it, like, especially because I used to do black and white photography, so contrast just like resonates to me in the black and the white and the gray in between. Nice. And so I'm just like, well, if you have contrast, especially if it's a stark contrast and that's how you're looking at it, it's easier to see the problem, and then you're able to come back and fix it, versus an overwhelming, just cluttery feeling of stress. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that. Thanks for bringing that to the table, Aletha.
Yeah. True for me, I think it's just the stress in itself is the fact that I am able to consume to.
No, wait, we lost you for a second. I got a little jaggy. What was that?
Me?
Yeah, you
about.
got a little jaggy for a second. Say it again.
Oh, I was saying that another, just even talking about stress, another victory that I want to celebrate, I would like to celebrate, and as I'm hearing from you guys too, is the fact that we are able to recognize when stress is there and to use our toolkits to get ourselves out, whether it be through dance, whether it be through something else, art, or going sit in a hammock, which is the best thing ever. I have 2 hammocks in my backyard that I'm gonna have to pack up soon. But yeah, it's like just using our toolkits and being able to recognize, nope, stress is not gonna be the victor here. We are gonna be the victor.
Yeah. Yeah, I always kind of made the analogy about stress and fear and how we treat life-threatening situations like fear, like, you know, if a bear ran out of the woods at you right now, nobody has to tell you to run. You're out of here. You know, or you might think like, what do they say? Get big, do this, you know? We treat that level of fear with the same fear as, like, you know, you failed at a little something, you fall short, somebody talked about you. It's like so life-threatening. And it's really not. It doesn't deserve that much. It really doesn't. It just, I have this watch. You see, it says what time is it?
Ow. I love it.
Like, yesterday is gone. You would never get it back. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. And no matter what, you can't bring tomorrow into today. I don't care what you do. And if you focus on now, be productive, be the best human today, now, tomorrow is going to probably be fine. So we got this level of fear that's just so life-threatening, and it's not that serious. I know it could be based on experiences and what, you know, each of us have been through, but I had to learn that. I had to learn, like, really? Like, I'm treating that like my life is at danger, like right now. You know, and it's all about somebody said something or this, or I didn't like the way that went, or they're not behaving the way I think they should, or, you know, it's not that serious. It's just not.
Yeah.
Ruth.
I love the watch. Love the watch.
I have a friend in California who makes these nail pieces, and I'll share with you when I shoot you an email.
Yeah. Elysia, what are you celebrating?
What am I celebrating?
Yeah.
Well, there are a few things that I'm celebrating. I'm like, how deep do I want to go?
Well, I mean, for once, I want to say though, you are celebrating Black History Month, and you did it consistently. I think every day. Is it every?
I did.
So you did that consistently every day.
Yeah, this is a huge victory. I interviewed people every single day this month.
So I want to applaud you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I either posted interviews that I did before, or I interviewed people live. It was a lot. It was a lot. I will be totally transparent. I am not always great at running through the finish line on projects because, like, my brain is always like full of all these ideas all the time. Like, it's a little bit of a problem. Yeah. But I just get so excited about I could solve this, and I could do that, and I could support these people over here, and it would be amazing. So my victory is definitely like, I woke up on February 1st. And I was just like, I want to celebrate these amazing people and show the Black community support. And I'm going to try and do that by posting every single day. And what I like to laugh at myself about that is that I've been interviewing people for like a year and a half, 2 years now. I have something like 150 interviews that I've done. And it's a lot. And I'd never done interviews before then. It was just like the spontaneous thing that happened when COVID started. And so it wasn't like I didn't know what it was going to take, but it was like I didn't fully conceptualize what it was going to take to do it every day.
Yeah.
And it definitely like ate my life like all of it, like I have gained probably like 6 or 7 pounds from not exercising. I feel like I like watch my interviews and I'm like, I can see myself getting progressively fatter in my face. It's really funny to me. Nobody else notices, but I notice.
Say that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I still feel like beautiful in myself. It's okay. And I know that the weight will come off, but it's still funny to me. So basically for the entire month, all I did was go to work at my jobs and prep for interview and do promotions and do the interviews. And I do not regret that for one single second, because it was such an incredible experience to get to learn so many different perspectives from different people and hear their life stories and meet people I never would have otherwise met had I not just on a whim done this project. And I'm filled with gratitude and inspiration. And also gratitude that today's the 28th, because holy bejesus, I'm like, is it March 1st? Yes, so much. But so like I definitely make I'm celebrating that it has been Black History Month, and that I'm celebrating myself that I did this project and I ran through the finish line and I did it even though it was hard. And I had a lot of stuff that I was going through in my personal life that was pretty hard this entire month. And even though I had those difficult things going on, that I still showed up every single day for this community and for this project. And so I definitely have pride in that. And I'm celebrating the fact that after one full year of being in Charlottesville, I came here a year ago on February 16th with nothing, literally nothing. That after all of that, I heard that I needed to come home for my family. And on 9 days notice, I have been able to have enough of a financial bandwidth to just basically get in my truck and drive home. And it's like, it can be potentially tight on the back end of things, but I still have the space to do that. So for me, that is absolutely a victory, that after 1 year coming from nothing, to be able to take 4 to 5 weeks off of work and drive 6,000 miles round trip to see my family. It's going to be at least 6,000 depending on the route that it takes, so that I can go home and be there for my family. So that's a really big deal, and I'm definitely going to celebrate that.
Yay.
Oh, and getting to see my family for the first time in a year and a half, because I haven't gotten to see my family in a year and a half, and that's been harder on me than I thought that it would be. So
we're gonna send some prayer warriors along your path. Just give you high fives on every mile.
Thank you. It's gonna be fun. It is my 8th drive across the country by myself in 8 years.
Wow.
I don't like driving.
I love driving. I am so excited to be able to have the opportunity to have like quiet meditation time away from my computer. Like nobody can get a hold of me if I don't want them to. Like I turn off my phone, and I sometimes, honest to God, I drive in silence. I drive in silence, and I just take in the beauty of everything around me. So it's like moving meditation for me. Like it's a different kind of moving, because you're moving and not moving all at the same time. But yeah, and I'm also writing a book, and that's a journey. And so I'm celebrating that, and I'm celebrating taking a step and becoming certified as a sex coach and consultant. And that was a really big deal for me to step into and publicly say, be like, yes, this is what I'm doing. And it's about mindset. It's about creating that safe, like helping people to facilitate safe spaces and healthy communication and boundaries, and getting to be their authentic selves. And like, what does that look like? And how do we facilitate for people to have conversations of respect and neutral curiosity, even if somebody participates in something that isn't necessarily something we want to participate in, right? So yeah, lots of things to celebrate, and to celebrate emotional mastery when operating through trauma. Because that is definitely part of what I've been experiencing, and showing up authentically, being like, yes, I am happy. And yes, that sometimes takes a lot of bandwidth, and sometimes I'm angry, and it's okay to be angry. but getting to honor that and not have it control me, and like having the emotional mastery to at least have it not spill out into my community, for me to just have boundaries and be like, I can't talk to you right now, and I can't explain to you why I can't talk to you right now either, because that would make me want to like yell at you, and you don't deserve that. So I'll talk to you later. And getting to filter through your friend group and to see who receives that and who can't.
Yeah.
With love and compassion.
Anthony brought it up, the point about community. Even when we grow into our adultness, the need for community is still there. And so the tribe, finding your tribe, hanging around like-minded people, or knowing that like-minded people are still there for you to reach out to, is important. And I think you and I were talking about that. I don't really have that here in this community. So most of my friends are virtually reachable. And so I do, and I reach out to them when I need them so much, because it is necessary to not try to think that you're here to do this alone.
And what did I say to you when you said that you didn't have anybody there?
I don't. You said, you like, do I need to call my tribe?
Because she lives in my home state, and I'm here 3,000 miles away, and she's like, I don't have anybody. And I was just like, do I need to call my people to come support you?
So
and knowing that I have the kind of people in my life that I can call them and say, hey, there's this person that you don't know that's a really good person, will you go help them? And they'd be like, sure, when do you need me to show up?
Yeah, I need to move, Freddie, and we're still trying to figure out how all this is going to go, because there's so many different layers of demands or versions of what I want. But the biggest just was my physical ability to lift weights, lift up the heavy pounds of the boxes and stuff is just very limited. So that's where she was like, I'll get my tribe to come there and help you.
Yeah, that would be awesome. You could sit back, kind of supervise.
Yeah, because I mean, seriously, because like, Aletha, I've had 2 low back surgeries, and I've moved a whole bunch of times, and it's definitely like a process, especially for strong women, or like strong people at all, to say, I know I look fine to you, but I can't lift that, and I need you to do it for me, and I'm gonna handle my own ego over here and have faith that when you show up to help me, that you're not going to be bitter about it, that you're actually here with an open heart to help me and receive the gratitude that I have for that experience.
Yeah, and not feeling reciprocal.
Or Freddie.
Or you could just sell everything and just buy new stuff when you move.
That too.
I can put everything up for sale.
We all sell that.
I love to sell stuff. I love getting rid of stuff.
I was like, I got rid of everything except for what fit in my truck, and the one truckload that I'm actually like, because I'm driving home, and people are like, why aren't you flying? I'm like, because I'm going to go home and I'm going to sort through that one last truckload of stuff that's in storage that I didn't have the time to go through before I left. And
hey guys, I have your email and I'm going to reach out, but I have to go right now.
It's time. Freddie's been great. We're over time anyways, but so it'll go up on YouTube, and the link will be up on Instagram, as long as I have the consent of all people. As always, for anybody who doesn't know what the back end of that looks like, we always have consent from all parties before anything is ever posted anywhere else, because it's very important to me that everybody feel respected. And Freddie, thank you so much for showing up tonight. I really appreciate your candor, your wisdom, and your vulnerability as always.
Thank you. It's great to meet all of you. Aletha, I know Anthony's gone, but I will connect with you guys, at least kind of remain on each other's radar a little bit.
That's awesome. And everybody can find Freddie at Love No Ego Foundation. You can totally Google that and it will pop right up.
Yeah.
Hey, for all you do.
Thank you guys.
You're welcome, Freddie. We'll talk to you soon. I'll see you around town. Yeah, and then there were 2. So yeah, there was Lisa, so much love.
But definitely
we've gone over a lot of stuff today, so
so thank you so much, and I'll let you do the last words and I'll submit my farewells to you. But yeah, thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
I'm really grateful. I always feel so privileged to get to be in these spaces of conversation and just have flow and just whatever comes up and so much grace from everybody on the platform, and how I love how there's just flow and no ego really comes up. Love, no ego, as Freddie says.
Yeah, the spirits just asked me to ask you this. If you were to do what we call a brain map of different things that you picked up from the different interviewees, what would be some of the things that comes out, just like love, no ego? What would be
for this month or in general?
For this month? Yes.
For this month.
This
Wow.
month.
I just like so much to filter through. I'm just like,
I know.
Like 40 hours worth of stuff at least right there, like wandering through my brain. And it's funny to think about that too, that it's probably been like at least 40 hours of screen time that we've had presented. Yeah, so much of it has been about love. It's about bringing joy to the world. It's about being authentic. It's about owning your truth. People have talked a lot about racism too, like this month, that they have experienced, and so really wanting to bring a message to everybody that racism is unacceptable. And I mean, like, I feel like everybody should know that anyways. That's just like a blanket statement. Right. But the willingness to see people in presence, to let go of your past experience that you may have had with any human being, and try to drop your filters and really take a deep breath and look at the person in front of you in that moment, to see where they are, to really see that person, and to honor that, and to honor yourself, I think is really important. And that transcends like the color of your skin, your socioeconomic status, your politics, your religion, like any of that. Because if you can just like look at the person in front of you on a soul level, or if you don't believe in souls, but like just see the person in front of you and their mind and what they're presenting with their energy, their nonverbal communication, their actions, their words, and to be able to humbly see life through their eyes, and not what you are projecting on them with your own personal story.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to going back to, because I didn't see all of them, but it would be beautiful to just go back and know that that archive is there, and know that you came across and you spoke and connected to, prior to each of those interviews, with some phenomenal people that agreed to show up. And so I really do recognize you for the effort that you did, and knowing that you're going to continue being that same lovable person and giving this beautiful gift to the world of showing and introducing all these different phenomenal people. So thanks.
You're very welcome, Aletha, and thank you so much. You've always showing up and being supportive. I really appreciate you being behind the scenes and showing up and being a great friend. And you're my great cheerleader out there. And so for anybody watching the show now or like in the future, I will be taking a break for the most part from interviews while I am traveling across the country and focusing on family. I will be resuming interviews after April 11th, as well as my massage. Virtual coaching, however, for empowerment coaching and confidence coaching is available virtually. Of course, I probably said that like 3 times because I'm like, y'all, I'm on the road. It's going to be virtual, but it is absolutely still available as a means of empowerment, connection, and support. So if that's something that you're interested in, please do connect with me at www.globalequineaffiliates.com or on Instagram at Elysia Buss, and of course on Facebook. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for anybody who's been watching this journey of the last month for the Black History Month project, as we've highlighted incredible Black people from around the world. Really, we've had people from Australia, other places. So yes, just so much gratitude
Well,
much
here's
gratitude.
to adventure to you and your journey, Elysia.
Cheers
I get
to
to
adventures
see
and
you,
journeys.
and I get to see you personally. So I hope so. If not, we'll make it happen.
You'll see me.
You can't be in this physical state and I don't drive to where you need to be, even though I hate driving.
Oh, don't you worry, my friend. You will see me.
Right.
So anyways, thank you again, everybody, for watching. Aletha, Anthony, and Freddie, thank you for being here. And yeah, until next time, we will see all of you later. Much
Thank
love.
you.
Bye.
Bye.